Could you imagine kids being excited about ecology or geography? How about physiology or geometry? And really, physics? Sometimes you just have to change their perspective. Sir Isaac Newton laid the foundation for modern skiing with several basic laws of motion. So why not bring skiing into the classroom? Why not bring it all into the classroom? Real-life experiences and the talents of mentors to deliver it as an academic message. Through the physics of sport, the creativity of the arts, and the connection all of it has to history. Newton's first law states that the body tends to continue in a straight line unless acted upon by an outside force. As soon as a skier decides to turn, centrifugal force tries to pull the body back to a straight path. An equal and opposite force called lateral adhesion is required from the snow surface to counteract the centrifugal force and keep the skier turning through an arc without slipping. Let's not let our kids slip. Let's be that outside force. The real world provides us with so many teachable moments. Let's take advantage of them. Let's set the stage and build the tools to inspire future generations. Then bridge them to the experience. Let's provide the tools and the workshops free to the schools and offer financial aid when needed to bridge students to experiences. The mission of the Youth Initiative Project is to improve quality of life through introducing youth to educational enrichment opportunities. A mission that begins in the classroom by providing education through inspiration. Making education entertaining. The goal of the project over the next year will be to reach 10,000 students with one of our educational tools, Climb to Glory, recruit world-class mentors, and provide financial boost when correctly assessing candidates.
Hey everybody, It's such a pleasure, such an honor to be in this room with so many people that are supporting Chris and his beautiful initiative, his foundation. I'd like to just take a quick second to really give it up for Chris and to Chris for doing all this hard work. We really appreciate Chris Anthony and everything he's doing, so let's give him a little love right now. My name is Scott Soden. It's nice to be here. I play with Bonfire Dub. We're doing a little something just to bring the vibe to you, and it's again our honor to be a part of this. I'm going to introduce a great friend of mine, fellow musician and the violinist for the wonderful Colorado recording artist, nationally and internationally touring band, Elephant Revival. We're going to make a quick introduction and get things going, and then we'll be back to join you. So thank you so much for being here. It's our pleasure to perform for you. Please give it up for Miss Bridget Law.
Well, thank you so much. I too am so happy to be here. And I really appreciate the focus towards bringing opportunity to youth, especially youth in need, and helping them dissolve the separation between them and their dreams. I think that's a super important part of moving forward in this world. And so thank you, Chris Anthony and the Youth Project. Focus on the kids. All right, it's time to get the night rolling, and I'd like to introduce the senior advisor for Governor Hickenlooper, and Jamie Van Leeuwen.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Let's give it up. What a great way to spend a fall evening is coming together to do something for young people. And so I don't think we can say it enough tonight. We should really give it up for Chris Anthony one more time. And if you look at the people in this room and all the community leaders who have come together, the reason good things for young people happen in Colorado is because of the people who came together tonight in this room. And so I'm really excited to be here. I will be a very, very small part of your evening tonight. And when the governor can't come to something he really wants to come to, then I have to call Chris and say, well, Chris, the governor can't be here, but I could come instead. And then he has to pretend like he's excited about that. And then you all have to pretend like you're excited that I'm here instead of Governor Hickenlooper. And if Governor Hickenlooper was here, he would be very, very excited about delivering a proclamation on behalf of this extraordinary organization and for the young people of Colorado. And so we need some audience participation to get the evening started, otherwise you'll get bored. And so I need you all to do whereas. So I'm going to point at you and you'll do whereas. And then I'll say the proclamation. And so we'll start again. Whereas. The Chris Anthony Youth Initiative Project seeks to improve quality of life through introducing youth to educational enrichment opportunities. And whereas. On October 13, 2014, the project will host its annual Inspire event in Denver, Colorado at the Bluebird Theater. And whereas. See what I mean? During this year's festivities, 5 world-class athletes will present inspiring multimedia family-friendly presentations, and the presenters include Chris Anthony, Chris Davenport, Ingrid Backstrom, Jess McMillan, and Meg Douglas. And the event will also include violinist Bridget Law and musical artist Scott Stroughton, 2 talented musicians who have volunteered their time for the evening, and all the proceeds from this event will benefit the Chris Anthony Youth Project School Tour and Scholarship Fund, and 50 more to go. I'm just kidding. The state of Colorado appreciates the efforts to inspire and encourage our youth to set, reach, and achieve their dreams. Therefore, not I, but John W. Hickenlooper, Governor of the state of Colorado, do hereby proclaim October 13, 2014 as Day of Inspiration.
How's everybody doing? Thanks, thank you so much for being here. What a great turnout. And I want to thank Nicole. How about the setup here, Nicole Bonsbach? Before we go much further, I do want to thank all my friends, because if it wasn't for them, this whole thing wouldn't be possible. We got Alex Schultz in the house. She's been helping me pull this off. As well as I want to thank the staff here at the Bluebird. They're overwhelmingly helpful in pulling this off. this is the mission of my whole program, is that I want to basically provide an opportunity to bring the outside real-world experience into the classroom, get the kids excited, inspire them, fire them up, and then when they ask those questions and start getting that itch in their gut, that we can start to bridge them to those opportunities that are outside the classroom, anywhere. And I don't care if it's athletics, arts, or academics. I just want to make that basically for anybody to achieve and anybody to go after. This is my first scholarship winner last year. She had quite a story, and I still got to nail down how we're going to exactly select people, but this one came again organically. The community actually in Durango reached out to me and they said, Chris, can you donate a bunch of stuff to auction off for to raise some money for our program down here and for some of the kids that can't afford it? I go, no, but we'll step that up. I'll bring the film Climb to Glory down. We'll do a showing, sell it to your community, do an auction, and fill it up. And if you fill it up, then I'll scholarship anybody you want. And so we raised that one shot, $30,000, because then British Petroleum came in and matched it because they're like, this is great energy. And that's what it takes, is just that catalyst to make it happen. This is from a little kid in Aspen, and Chris Davenport got me to just come be part of their big fundraiser, and we get to give back a little bit more there. So this little kid wrote me, I think it was on his lunch bag. I don't know if that's exactly the right direction, flipping on his head is, but, and of course, again, the arts, I want this to be the arts, the academics, and athletics. It's a lot of people are like, oh, you're getting kids into STEAM programs. Nope, I want it to be anything that they dream of. And I just want to thank, this is so special that I threw this out to this group here that I actually get to be part of when we are in Chile every summer. This group comes together, minus Wendy Fisher, who's missing out of here, unfortunately. But we do a camp down in Chile every August, a fun ski camp. But I asked them if they would join me here tonight for this, and thank you. We have Chris Davenport, Jess McMillan, Mike Douglas, Ingrid Backstrom all joining us here from Iowa. And we all need our mentors, right? I don't care, it's not just about kids, it's about us, adults, and everything to push us. And I got pushed pretty hard the last few years. I don't know if she realized she was pushing me, but she was. And this whole thing, I want to thank Livy Anschutz for pushing me. And this is the only time that I kind of got to push her maybe a little bit. And it's hard. She's tough. So I want to welcome you here. I had a very special trip last year to Alaska, to Points North, where I've been heli guiding, and I got to go there to film a portion of our Warren Miller trip for this coming film, No Turning Back. And I got to join Ingrid Backstrom and Jess McMillan, but it was pretty good powder when we showed up there. But this was a super, super fun journey. And I just want to tell you a little bit about these two girls, because they're going to come up and present. Anybody been to Alaska? If you haven't yet, you got to join me. Get in a helicopter, come with me, and you get to fly through these mountains, land on these peaks. And it's always important to bring some of your closest friends and people that you want to be with, the right pilots. If there's Jess McMillan, Ingrid, and these two girls really, they pushed me really hard, I tell you. They pushed me to my limits, actually, like really bad. I'm still hurting from it. I just got the MRI from that 2 days ago. This trip was amazing, and so the idea of tonight is I want to inspire you, and these mountains have been inspiring me for a good long time, and spending that time up there with these two women was just absolutely unbelievable. But I have to share a moment with you, because last year was a very special and long year for me at the same time. My dad died a little bit before that, and last year I spent the entire year traveling and dropping his ashes all over the place. And I got to drop him on this run here, And I did it quickly because we were on a time frame, but Ingrid and Jess let me get to ski this slope first. That's at the view from the top. That's our private limo down there. And there wasn't anybody in sight, and since it supposedly had never been skied before, so I got to name it after my dad. So
Chris is gonna go first.
it's named Vino.
Okay, we talked in the helicopter about him traversing the cross and skiing the far right side. That gets him out past that shadow, too. Okay, sounds good. That's what he'll do.
Cameramen are over there. Girls are here. They're up here.
Shadows are moving.
You heard the cameraman, he's like, shut up, keep going, we're running out of light. But it was amazing. Got to make some of the first turns on that slope and name it after my father, Vino. We ended up traveling a little bit further over the week, and we had one of those moments, and this is one of those times that I'm going to share with you because it's one of those teachable moments. And this is what I get to do, is walk into the classrooms and, you know, I get to take the kids on a journey, but I try to leave them with a valuable lesson, whether it's to inspire them or to get them to think outside the box. And this is one of those times that, I mean, we're always learning in the mountains, but it was near the end of the day in the heli, you can sort of see the antenna off there to the left, and we landed on this bench to sort of look around and see if there was anything more left to ski or film that day. And then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, we're in the helicopter. And I hadn't picked out anything yet. Just picked out that. And so then all of a sudden we're in the helicopter. They're like, Chris, you're going to ski the Hourglass. And it was this thing right here. Looks like a martini glass. Now the problem with this is that's exactly what it is. It's a giant funnel. And this thing's been baking in the sun all day. And so when I got pointed, I just quickly got to take this picture out of the helicopter, but as we were taking off, and it occurred to me, I was like, wow, I wonder what that slope's like, because if anything should happen, I gotta get to the bottom and out before anything crushes me or buries me or throws me off the cliffs or anything. So, not a lot of time to think about that, but
This is me up in the Chugach. I just got dropped off by this helicopter, and I'm standing by myself. Beautiful spot, and looking out over the ocean, the Copper River Delta. It's out that way, or actually it's out that way. You can see Sphinx in the distance. Over there somewhere is Jess McMillan. And beyond that is Ingrid Backstrom. And we're just kind of lining up our last shots for the day. It's kind of wild being out here. The helis over there, they're setting up to do aerial shots of us. So I am going to go take a look at my run here. Okay. I just stepped out onto it and it just didn't have the right fit. Very loaded to me.
So what was going on there is I'm being the weird guy talking to the camera by myself on top of a peak. There's a lot of stuff. And the filming, you know, you guys get to come watch the movie. It seems very seamless, all this great powder runs and everything. But prior to that, the girls had sat on top of that peak Sphinx, which you'll see in the movie, for, I don't know, 4 hours. And I sat down at the bottom watching them, and then in situations like this, you're just doing a lot of sitting above stuff that makes your heart's just going. But I stepped out onto the slope, and just as I kind of was concerned, instantly my sixth sense just said, no, this isn't right. The hair on my neck stood up, and I thought, what was scary is that I thought, you know what, if I can do this, I'm going to go as fast as I can and outrun the slide all the way through the funnel and make it. Or I won't, and then this will happen to me, but it won't happen to the girls. And so I'll save them, but I'll be in trouble. So I was trying to balance these things all through my head rather than maybe just get on the radio and call up and say, hey, I'm not feeling comfortable with this aspect and pull it. But I was also concerned that I didn't want to freak out the girls either. And also a little ego got in the way and I didn't want to sound like that guy that was wimping out. So a lot of bad decision making on my part. But Jess as I pointed, was down further on the ridge, standing on a similar aspect, but she had the same aspect, but a different aspect. So I came back and all that was going through my head.
That way Kim can get down and kind of be on the ground for an easy pickup. Does that make sense to you guys?
So Jess is going first.
Okay. Okay, so Jess has been given her instructions.
Okay, dropping in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So, Jess is here tonight, thankfully. But Jess is tough, and I gotta introduce you to Jess McMillan. And without further ado, I would like to present our first speaker tonight, Miss Jess McMillan. Give her a nice round of applause. She made a special trip here from Jackson to see us. Welcome, Jess.
Thanks for having me, guys. Can we click to the first slide? Oh, thank you. You didn't tell me. There I am. Tonight I want to talk about Ubuntu. Has anyone heard of this word? A couple of people. Yeah. And it's a hard word to translate into the American society because it doesn't have a meaning. It's more a feeling. It's more a philosophy. It came from South Africa. And in South Africa, they think of Ubuntu as humanness. And how do we describe humanness? In South Africa, they describe humanness as a man walks into a village or a family walks into a village and they can come without food or water or shelter. And no matter what, you take that person into your village and you feed them and you give them shelter. A lot of people have tried to, translate Ubuntu to the US culture. And I like what former President Bill Clinton said. He said, Ubuntu for all of us, it means the world is too small, our wisdom too limited, our time too short, to waste any of it winning fleeting victories at other people's expenses. We have to now find a way to triumph together. I thought he said that nicely. The other one I really like is from Doc Rivers of the Boston Celtics. He said it's about being resilient and sharing the joy with your teammates when he's doing well and feeling the pain when she is feeling bad. I think my favorite quote of Ubuntu, as far as a philosophy, came from Michael Lesick. He's a co-founder of the Global Arts Corporation. And he said, Ubuntu, I am because you are. And I thought this was really neat. When we think about Ubuntu, when we think about humanness, we think about culture, we think about community, we think about people. And we as people, we're all kind of the same. And I think when we talk to people, when we see people, when we have interaction, It's a reflection of what we see. For example, if I'm talking to someone and they look at me and they have high fives and they're smiling and there's this positive interaction, I feel better about myself. It's a reflection as if looking in the mirror, and I feel good about myself. But if I talk to someone and they have a horrible interaction, all of a sudden that's a reflection I see and I feel bad about myself. So I kind of want to try it, if you guys will bear with me. It's kind of the whereas exercise, but take a moment, either close your eyes, look down at the floor, but look into yourself and think of a moment that you've always dreamed of. Think of something that you never thought you could do or you always wanted to do. Can you see yourself doing it? Can you feel it? Can you smell it? Can you taste it? Really try and visualize it. Visualize it so much that all of a sudden it's a reality. Maybe just a tiny reality, but it's a reality that's growing in your mind. Now look up and look at me. And I'm going to tell you that that dream, that reality that you just made in your mind can't happen. You're not good enough. You can't do it. How does that make you feel? When I was 18, I quit skiing. I had always dreamed of going to the Olympics, and I had spent my entire life training and skiing, and that was what I was going to do. That was who I was. And then someone told me, they said, "You're not good enough. You can't do it." And so I quit. I quit skiing altogether. Because if my dream wasn't good enough, if it wasn't worth pursuing, then there was no point in skiing. And my heart was empty. It was so empty. And so I knew I had to find something to fill my heart. And so when I went to college, I tried everything. I walked onto the soccer team. I played tennis, which I'm absolutely terrible at. I tried everything. And eventually I found whitewater kayaking. And I poured my heart into kayaking. It was like I was training for the Olympics. And in 4 years, I was kayaking with some of the best kayakers in the world. Here's a little clip of what we were doing. I love kayaking. I met my husband kayaking. I'll never regret those days spent kayaking. But while I was doing it, I always wondered, could my dream have become possible? And I always had this sort of I don't know what it is, something itching in my heart that said, should I be in the mountains? Should I be in the snow? Should I be skiing? And so I moved back to my hometown of Jackson Hole. not as an athlete, but as a real estate agent. We're all searching, right? And one day I was riding up the chairlift, and this gentleman next to me struck up a conversation, and he was so inspiring. He told me his entire life, it was one of those long chairlifts, and you get talking, and he was a professional volleyball player. He was now in his 80s, and no one had beat his career records, if you will, in 50 years. And he talked about how passionate he was about the game and how much he loved it. And then I asked him, any regrets? And he said, yeah, I do have a regret. My regret is that my father sees me as a failure. My father sees me as a failure because I didn't become a lawyer or a doctor or something that he approved of. And I thought, wow, was it worth it? And he said, yes, every single day of it was worth it. And he hopes to one day have his father's respect. But at the same time, he's the happiest man alive because he did what he wanted to do every single day. And when he said that to me, my entire perception of myself and my life changed. It took one person to tell me that my dream was worth it, that what I wanted to do was worth trying. It took one person to say, you can do it. So 8 years later, I am living my dream. It took one person to say, you can do it. Your dream's worth it. And now I'm skiing with my heroes. I had photos of Ingrid Backstrom, Chris Davenport, Chris Anthony, Mike Douglas on my wall, and now they're my friends. They're my teammates in the mountain. And it took one person just to say, your dream is possible. So I'll bring it back. Ubuntu. I am because you are. We're a reflection of each other's dreams, so let's be a positive reflection. We all have dreams. I challenge everyone in this room to be the reflection of each other's dreams, to cheer your teammates on, to tell everyone that you know that their dreams are possible, to be kind, supportive, and to live your dreams. Thank you.
Amazing. got to, Jess is my newest friend in the ski world, and wow, she blew me away up in Alaska this year. As I said, we got to film a segment together up there that you guys will see in this upcoming Warren Miller film. And another person that I got to join up there, and it was very much me joining them, and I was completely honored to do so. But this young lady, I've known for several years, and she's another one of those people that, I don't know, I walk into the room and I get kind of nervous when I'm around her. There's something about her that makes you want to be a better person, for sure. And if you aren't, then she's going to make fun of you. Or me. I get made fun of a lot by it, but I love it. And she's not only been just an inspiration for myself, but for many, many young ladies and gentlemen as well. She has a few of those chasing after her, but she just literally came running back from her honeymoon. Last night I picked her up at the airport, so I want to welcome Miss Ingrid Backstrom.
Thanks, Chris. I don't make fun of Chris. How could I make fun of Chris Anthony? I mean, I got here today to Colorado and tried to go to the bank, and they're like, it's closed. And I was like, why? They're like, well, oh, it must be Chris Anthony Day, Inspire. The governor called it that, so. I don't make fun of Chris. Well, I'm really excited to be here in Colorado. It was super great to look out and see the fresh snow on the peaks today. That's exciting. And yeah, I grew up in Seattle, skiing at Crystal Mountain, where both my parents are on the volunteer ski patrol. We spent every weekend up in the mountain. I started racing when I was 12, which was really embarrassing as it was because I was a terrible racer, like last place. But it got even more embarrassing because shortly after I started racing, my parents acquired a 1954 GMC bookmobile. It slept 8, it was retrofitted by another guy on the patrol, and that's what we slept in every single weekend up at the mountain. There we go. I just want you to be able to fully appreciate it. Front view, side view, and hey, sorry. Anyway, so as far as hardships for today's youth go, I realized this wasn't much, and I was very fortunate at the time, but as a 13-year-old girl, this is pretty much the worst thing that ever happened to me. I would have way rather stayed home on the weekends and hung out with my friends than go skiing and be seen in this, but that's what we did, and thanks to my parents who, of course, knew best, they encouraged and supported me, even though I was a terrible ski racer, and they kept encouraging me and kept supporting me, and gradually I got a little bit better. I ski raced in college, and after college I moved to Squaw Valley to do, a year as a ski bum, like we do, and that led to competing in free skiing contests, eventually getting invited to film with Matchstick Productions and Warren Miller Entertainment, and since then I've been skiing professionally for 11 years, so thanks to those coaches that believed in me, even though I showed no promise, and to my parents that kept encouraging me, and to all the filmers and the other skiers, all my mentors that are up here on the stage tonight presenting as well, who encouraged and supported and showed me the safe way to do it, the good way to be in the mountains. Don't just be a loose cannon and do stuff just because the cameras are there, but to approach it in the right way. Thanks to all these guys and to all the other people, it really takes a village. And I have a couple clips from some Matchstick Productions movies over the years to share.
Stand
passion and the drive and the guts to do all this stuff, right? But you don't always have the direction. And it's easy to get caught up in, oh, am I cool enough, or I'm not good enough, or people don't like me, or whatever it is that's so easy to get preoccupied with when you're young. But that's why I think it's so important that we're all here tonight, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be involved in Chris Anthony's youth project, and so hopeful for it, because I think it's so important to connect kids with their passion, even if they don't know what that is. Ask them those questions. Show them the opportunities, whether it's art, music, athletics, academics. Just get them out there, get people like Chris out into the classrooms, and hope that those kids connect with their passion. And even if they don't, even if they're still doing something and maybe they're not that good at it yet, that's okay, that somebody's still there to encourage them and pay attention to them, even if they're at the back of the line. And I just think that what Chris is doing and what you're all doing here by being here tonight is so important. So keep it up. Thanks so much.
My next presenter, gosh, it goes back a long ways. The first time, well, before he knew that I knew him, his sister actually contacted me and said, so my brother is gonna start doing those big mountain extreme comps. Can you keep an eye on him? Which is ironic, because he's been my coach, I think, ever since. So it's been kind of an interesting thing watching this person evolve and change his path over and over and over and reinvent himself, still with using the energy of skiing, but changing it and morphing it in so many other ways. Using it as the ability to become an author, a producer, starting businesses, becoming an entrepreneur, and all based off so he could just get the free lift ticket, I think. But that's what Warren did all the time. But a few years ago, Chris said that he was done. He was quitting. And I was like, and we were down in Chile. And we hold, like I said, we do this camp. All of us do the Camp of Superstars down there. And I invite you all to come join us sometime. It's pretty amazing. But he told me at the end, he goes, who wants to take over? Because I'm done. And I think he was going to go work on Wall Street or something. I don't know. And then I was literally like, well, what am I supposed to do if you're done? Am I supposed to be done? And it really confused me. I lost sleep for about 3 weeks. And then I get this press release that's from Chris that says he has a new passion. He's going to try to ski all the 14ers in 1 year. So I'm like, wait, you're done? And he comes up with the most ridiculous goal yet set. And then, like anything he does, he went out and actually did it. And that's the problem, is that he keeps going, so I'm going to keep going, so you better keep going. And I want to welcome Mr. Chris Davenport up here on stage. Welcome.
Thanks, Chris. Wow, that's one story that I had never heard before. I was not aware of the fact that my sister, and I have 2 of them, so I still don't know which one contacted you. But yes, that is a true story about the 14ers in 2005. And I was actually going to tell that as part of my presentation tonight, but Chris sort of stole the thunder. But I'll get to it. I'll get to it in a little bit. What I want to talk about tonight is goal setting, because I think it's really important for the kids that Chris is talking to, and for us as professional athletes that have influence, we have a voice. We've worked really hard over our careers in skiing and had these modest successes that have led us to be enabled to have a voice and talk to people like children and influence them. And so I think it's really important that we use that voice to discuss things like setting goals in your life and the expectations that maybe come along with being a young person in the world today, or in America today, or in Colorado today. Goal setting for me has been a really important part of my career. And I actually remember before I go to that first story, I have to tell one quick anecdote, which Ingrid alluded to, or not didn't allude to, but sort of told earlier. When I left my house today, I said goodbye to my wife Jessie. I said, "Oh, I'm going down to Denver. I just got to run some errands first. I'm going to stop by the post office and mail these bills and stop by the bank." And she looked at me and she's like, "Duh, they're closed. It's Chris Anthony Day." So, yeah, that was my version of the joke. So I remember actually my first goal that I set when I was a kid. I was riding the chairlift at Attitash, New Hampshire. Do we have any New Englanders in the room? No, they're all from Colorado. I grew up in New England. I'm a transplant. And I was riding the chairlift with a friend of mine when I think I was 12 years old. And it was really cold, and it was really frozen snow, and we were having the time of our lives skiing. And I remember this conversation with my friend Jim. We looked at each other, and the conversation basically went like this, like, "Isn't skiing so much fun? Yes, I absolutely love it. Wouldn't it be cool if we could just do this every day? Absolutely, that's totally what we should do. Well, how can we do it? We should try to ski every day for the rest of our lives." Totally, I'm in, high five. Literally, that was it, right there. It gives me goosebumps to tell that story. It is the honest to God truth, and somehow I've figured out how to live it. And that, to this day, and as Chris said, I have my hands in many different aspects of the sport of skiing, but the foundation of all of that is I just want to be on the hill every day. That was my dream, that was my goal, that was my passion from a very, very early age. And for a number of years, those goals were decided for me. I had either my parents or the ski racing that I was doing. You know, there was this series of races that we would go to. The coaches would help me establish goals. I moved out to Colorado to race for the University of Colorado and ski here. And those coaches, yeah, we got some alumni here, I know, including Chris Anthony, Ian Witter, and others. But it was other people kind of doing it for me. And then I got into the competitive free skiing arena in the early 90s. Apparently this is when my sister got worried and called Chris Anthony, which I don't know why she would have called him. But she called Chris, and actually the way that story goes was in 1994, another member of our tribe of friends and coaches from Portillo, Shane McConkey, who I had grown up ski racing with and had gone to the University of Colorado with, called me in 1994 and he said, "Chris, we're going down to the U.S. Extreme Skiing Championships in Crested Butte. You should come. It's going to be really cool." I didn't know what that was. I was still just hucking cliffs in the back bowls of Vail, totally happy. Actually, that year I just moved to Aspen, and I went down, I met Shane in Crested Butte, and we did the contest, and it blew my mind. So for the next basically 11 years, I focused on free skiing competitions. Those were my goals. I want to win. I want to be the best that I can be. And fortunately, that worked out, and I won a couple world championships, and that led to filming opportunities where the goals became to get the best film segment. And so I had this theme throughout my career of goal setting. And I got to a point, and Chris alluded to this, in 2005, where I was without a goal. And since I was 12 years old, I hadn't really felt that. I hadn't really experienced that. And it was like a pit in my stomach. I really didn't know what to do. And it was also at a time where I had achieved enough success success in the sport of skiing that opportunities were coming my way. People were calling saying, "Hey, would you like to do this or would you like to do that?" And yes, I got a call from a bank that wanted to hire me, and the pay was really good, and I had to sit down with my wife and discuss this, like, hey, do I want to keep doing what I do as a skier, which we love, she's a skier too, but it's very dangerous, and friends had started passing away, and we were just kind of having this reality check, soul searching, if you will. And she said, you know, you could stop right now and you could get a good job, and we have children. I have 3 kids now. At the time we had 2. You know, maybe it's time to stop being that skier that you were and focus on something else. And I thought, you know, maybe there's something to that. Maybe responsibility is the thing that I should be thinking about at this time in my life. But I was having a hard time with that thought. And yes, and it was August when I mentioned it to Chris in Portillo, Chile. And I got home from that trip, and I had told him, hey, I'm going to probably give up the camp. I'm not going to coach anymore. I'm not going to ski. I'm going to ski, but I'm not going to ski professionally. You want to take it over. And I can't believe I said that. I'm thinking back on it now, 9 years later. But I did it. And I was back in my home in Snowmass out on a mountain bike ride in September. And it was September 2005, and it was beautiful, and the trees were changing, and Colorado, like it's been the last few weeks, was in all her glory. It was so pretty. Yeah, just amazing, right? The most incredible time of the year. How can you not go out on your bike or on the trails running or hiking or just being in the mountains and not be completely inspired? And I didn't go out to discover anything. I just went out to ride. But what I discovered was that I was not ready to give up skiing, and I had an epiphany. I swear it came to me in a split second. I was riding my bike through the aspen trees, and all of a sudden the word 14ers just came into my mind from nowhere. I wasn't searching for anything, and I started thinking about that. That's weird. Yeah, Colorado 14ers. I've climbed a lot of them. I've skied some of them. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, I wonder if you could try to climb and ski all of those in one season or in 1 year. And by the time I had gotten home to my garage and put the bike inside and walked in, the first thing I said to my wife is like, I know what I'm going to do this winter. This is awesome. And she was like ready for the moment, like we're moving to New York City, or no, it wasn't going to be that, but like some big thing. And I was like, I'm going to try to climb and ski all the 14,000 foot peaks in Colorado. And you should have seen the look on her face. Like it was halfway between pissed and disbelief. It was just, she didn't know what to, and I was kind of waiting for the big moment, like she was going to be excited, and she was like, that is a bad idea. This is exactly what you were trying to get away from. My wife's a ski patroller for 24 years. She throws bombs on the mountain, and she's a smart gal. And she's like, that is so dangerous. You're just diving right back into the world that you were trying to maybe step away from. But you know what? I felt it deep, deep, deep inside my heart, inside my soul, that this was going to be something that was going to be really meaningful. It was purpose. I had discovered some purpose out there, and it was a goal. And as soon as I got back from that ride, I couldn't get out of my system. And she tried to talk me out of it for a couple of weeks, as any good wife will when a husband has a bad idea. But I couldn't. I was secretly calling sponsors and saying, hey, I've got this great idea. It's going to be really, really awesome. And after a few weeks, I had come to the decision that this was what I was going to do this following winter. I was going to go all in on this project. You guys probably kind of, you know the rest of the story. But I was going to try to be the first person to climb and ski all the 14ers in Colorado in one season. Well, it turned out it took just under 1 year. But I went into it in one season. And I was, at the time, sort of, I guess, looking for inspiration from books and from articles and from mentors. And I read a book in mountaineering literature by a very famous 1950s climber from Chamonix, France. His name was Gaston Rébuffat. He was on the first ascent of an 8,000 meter peak in 1951. Annapurna. He wrote a bunch of incredible books. But he said that a goal without a plan is just a wish. And I think it's one of the best quotes ever, because especially nowadays, the kids that Chris Anthony's going to talk to, my own children, perhaps some of yours, these kids are growing up wishing for all these things, money and success and fame and all this stuff they see in the media and in the computer and all of this. It's just like we're kind of surrounded by it in the media nowadays, is like wealth and just, I don't know, it's too much, but what the kids don't get is there's steps that you have to take to get that. And if it's just a wish, I want to be rich, I want to be famous, I want to be a professional athlete, and I get that all the time. People coming up to me, how do I get sponsored? Like, it's the worst question ever. Well, first, love something. Second, put in like 20 years of hard work, and then maybe that'll just happen. But you're missing like the whole steps, right? So that's a goal without a plan. It's just a wish. Now, as soon as you create a plan for yourself, then you can start getting some real things done. And that's why the athletes that are here that have been up on stage tonight have been so successful, because they had the passion, And they set goals for themselves, and along the way they said, okay, this is how we're going to pull it off. These are the logistics that I need to take care of to make sure that I'm successful. And of course, you're going to have failures. I failed on some 14ers, but I succeeded on most of them because I had a plan. I had good partners. I knew the weather. I knew this Colorado Avalanche Information Center snow forecast, and on and on and on. And so that quote has basically stuck with me. And I think back to the story I told you in the beginning, which was when I was 12 years old, just wanting to be able to ski every day. And you know what? I didn't know it at the time, but in my mind subconsciously started making that plan. And that's why I'm standing up here in front of you guys tonight. And so tell your kids, tell your friends, kids. Chris will talk to his kids. Goals with planning equals success. Goals with no planning, it's just wishing. So I'm gonna leave you guys with a video, which is my current project, and this one has actually taken a lot more planning. A lot has happened since when I finished the Colorado 14ers in 2007, and now I've been climbing, skiing all over the world, and continuing to film and spending lots of time with Chris and Mike and Jess and Ingrid and many other mentors and friends in the ski industry. But the project that I'm working on right now, and I'm very close to being done, is what we call the Centennial Peaks, the 100 highest mountains in Colorado. So the sport of backcountry skiing and ski mountaineering since probably the early to mid-2000s has really exploded, really boomed. The equipment's gotten so much better, the information's gotten so much better, a lot of people are out there doing it. A lot of people have climbed and skied all the 14ers now. And I feel kind of honored to be a part of getting that momentum going. But I also felt like, you know what? I'm not done yet. I want to keep being the best that I can be, so I'm going to raise the bar again. And this idea came from a trip I was with Jess McMillan and two friends from Aspen, Ted and Christy Mann. We were skiing all the volcanoes of the Pacific Northwest. We had a big RV, drove out to California, started from the south, and skied mountains every day going up north of the Canadian border. And we got to that last peak at Mount Baker, Washington, and finished it. And we were done, and literally we were like lying in the RV, completely wasted, tired, after 14 days and 15 summits, going, what's next, right? Like, we should be like, we don't want to do this anymore, but the opposite happened. And Ted and Christy and I, Christy was the first woman to ski all the 14ers. Ted also skied them. He was the third man to do it after me. I was the second. Lou Dawson was the first. He started in 1979, finished in 1993. Anyway, we said, well, what's next? We've done California, we've done the volcanoes, Colorado 14ers, and collectively we said, you know what, we should continue pushing in Colorado, because that's where the most high mountains are. The skiing's great in the spring. Let's try to bump the bar up and ski the 100 highest mountains. So those are the Centennial Peaks. I'm at 95 right now. 5 more to go. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing. I have gone out to discover places that I never would have discovered had I not set that goal for myself. Had I not told myself and my partners, you guys, we're going to ski the 100 highest mountains in Colorado. It has led us to this incredible journey. Now we're so much more knowledgeable about our state and the places that exist and the opportunities here. And it's been really, really cool. So the quote is, a goal without a plan is just a wish. Get out there and share it. This is the Centennial Peaks, you guys.
All right, it's 7:30 in the morning. Got Max here. There's Pete. We're gonna go ski way up there to Dyer. Check it out. It should be pretty fun. I've been going at this project for almost a month. I think this is my 26th summit today. Out in the mountains again, skinning. I'm gonna try to hit 4 13ers today. There's Christy leading the charge. And this is totally awesome. guys doing? One's going right and one's going left. 13,600 feet. Christy's leading it. Here comes Ted and Ian and Matt. Some gnarly lines. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Awesome day. Awesome day.
Oh yeah.
Way to go. Good times. This is what I live for. Every day, all year.
It's nice I didn't end up on Wall Street, right? I think it was the right choice. Thanks you guys so much for coming out here. Chris. Excellent. Wow. It's amazing how that was a great way to put it. Setting goals, you gave me something new to talk to about. It is just a wish without a plan. So make that a t-shirt. This has been a journey for all of us, as you can imagine, and it brings a lot of people together. I've been lucky, that's another great thing. When you find something you're passionate about, when you love it, it not only brings you in a direction, but it introduces you to some amazing people. I mean, the community you start building around yourself, if you're doing something that you love, usually that community is amazing too. And if you're doing something you hate, you're usually around people that you don't like. But it's wonderful because I'm doing something I really love and parts of the world that are just so amazing. So I get to be with some unbelievable people. And I met another one of these characters, Mike Douglas. And the way that this gentleman has evolved his life is unbelievable too. And taking again the passion of skiing, that goal, and setting a plan for itself and living the life that you want and keeping on a motion forward to keep doing the things that you want, to keep that smile on your face is so important. And that's what's unique amongst these four people that are brought up here, and especially here with Mike. He has taken his skills to a whole nother level, and the reason I brought him up last is because Mike has become one of the best filmmaker producers that I've ever met, and I've been around a lot of them, and it's amazing watching what Mike has grown into. So I really want to welcome Mr. Mike Douglas on the stage right now.
Thanks, Chris. It's very kind. I think Chris touched on something that's really important, and I think that we will all share, is that we're all here tonight because of Chris Anthony's youth project. And youth is the key word there, because it's that spirit, that energy you have as a kid that I certainly felt when I was younger that it would go away and I would grow up and I would become responsible adult, and that would kind of be the end of it. But what I've sort of learned is that if you can maintain that spirit, and I know all these people that have been speaking on stage tonight have been very successful at it, but if you can maintain that spirit and that passion that you have as a kid, into your adulthood, you are going to be a much happier person. And once again, it's surrounding yourself with people who are positive and energetic, and with people like that, you can do amazing things. Now, thank you. Now, I grew up in a very small town on the coast of British Columbia. I'm Canadian. I'm the token Canadian-y. And in my town, kids didn't really make, like, you were always told you can make it from here, like, oh, you know, hockey's the big thing in Canada, like you're never going to make it to the NHL, kid. You're never going to be a pro skier. You're never going to be anything important. Here's your path. It was very narrow focused. You sort of had two choices in my town. You were either going to work at the mill or be a fisherman, or you were going to go to university and then get a university type career. Well, that was really driven into me to the point where I actually was like, okay, well, you know, I really like skiing, but I'm never going to be able to make anything of it. And but one thing I learned is that if you want something bad enough, if your heart is in it to a certain level, you can make it happen. And I've been very fortunate. I moved to Whistler just out of high school, and I met people there who had a very open mind, and people that affected me in the ways that Jess McMillan talked about. Someone who gave you the idea and gave you hope that the world is a much larger place and that you can achieve it if you want. So I became a pro skier, and here's the kind of crazy stuff that's allowed me to do. It's been an unbelievable run. I've actually technically been a professional skier now for 25 years, which is something that I didn't even think was possible. But what happened is, as you can see, I come from the flippy, spinny side of the sport a little bit. I was a bit more of a freestyler than the rest of the people on the stage here. And as a freestyler, if anyone watches the X Games or saw the Olympics this year with slopestyle and all those sorts of things, you realize that the average age of a successful freestyle skier is about 19. Well, that was the first year I went pro, so it's been a little while. And one of the big challenges I've always had is, how do I keep this going? How can I continue to do this job that I love, even though my body is sort of saying, like, hey dude, you're getting pretty old. So what I want to talk to you next is about reinvention, because I hear a lot of people that I meet, and they say, oh, you know, I had this dream as a kid. I wanted to ride horses, or I wanted to, you know, I wanted to be a skier. I wanted to be a cyclist. I wanted to be an artist, all these types of things, and it didn't work out. I became a, you know, fill in the career. I actually, true story, on the plane here, on the plane to Denver, I sat next to a guy, and he is an accountant, and he was going off about how much he loved it, and I was actually really inspired by that, because I was like, the first thing I said to him was, like, thank God there's people like you, man. Because, but the point is, he was very passionate about accounting, and what I'm trying to say is that you don't need to dream about being a skier or some, you know, career that we think is really sexy and cool. You just need to follow your passion, and it's never too late, because when I hit about 35, I was kind of like looking forward in my career, and like Davenport, I got to a point where I was like, I kind of need to reinvent myself, or I need to move on and do something else. And so I took a little step back, and I realized that over the years, doing all the ski movies and all these sorts of things through my life, film had been something I've always been interested in, and putting together shots and composing things and editing and all these sorts of things. And I thought, I've kind of got some connections and I've got some resources, and maybe I'll try and reinvent myself a little bit as a filmmaker. And over a few years, I started building into it a little bit, and kind of was very inspired by the fact that when I was a pro skier, I never thought that anything else in my life that I could possibly do would give me those same feelings that I got from being a pro skier. I mean, when you jump off big cliffs and you ski down these Alaskan peaks and do all this stuff, it is an incredible thrill, and it is very difficult to find those type of thrills in real life. But what I discovered early on in my filmmaking career is that when a good story came together, or I nailed a cool shot, or something like that happened, I got those same kind of goosebump butterfly feelings, and I'm like, all right, this is awesome. Because just because you've done one thing for maybe 20 years of your life or 30 years doesn't mean that you can't reinvent yourself and find a whole new level of passion. And that's kind of what's happened to me through filmmaking, and it's been an incredible journey. And 3 years ago, I began the biggest challenge of my professional career, and I took on the idea of a feature-length documentary film. And my best friend from when I was a little kid, the other guy that was there with me all those days on the ski hill, all those times that we were told, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it, he actually did it, and he did it the hard way. He dreamed about being either a ski patroller or an avalanche controller. All he wanted to do was live in the mountains and live in the snow and be up there. He was the most snow crazy person I've ever met in my life. And when he left school, though, his parents, our teachers, all our community said, no, you need to go this way and you need to find this career. Well, he became a forester, and he worked, at a sawmill and graded timber and did all these kinds of things. And it wasn't until he was in his 30s that he woke up one day and said, there's something missing in my life. I've got all these things that I was told earlier in life that would make me successful, and I'm still not happy. And literally a switch flipped inside him, and he started taking courses and training, and he got an avalanche dog, and he became a volunteer ski patroller, then a professional ski patroller, and he worked himself into his ultimate job, which is to be an avalanche controller. And so 3 years ago, I began a process of making a feature-length documentary film about my best friend, Kevin, and his job. And there's a bit of a twist that's coming at the end of this little video I'm going to show you, and I'll explain that after. But I'm going to show you a little piece of a web series I put together called Solomon Free Ski TV. And this is an episode we're calling The Controller, and it's essentially about the life of my best buddy, Kevin Vogel. So, here it is.
The other day we saw a bunch of slabs coming out this way as well. In the inlet? Yeah. Have you seen anything over there, Rich? Yeah, it's full of activity, but nothing new. Oh, there's one. See it? Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe let's just take a little closer look at that.
I've always loved snow. As far back as I can remember, it's always been a passion. It's always been something I've just been stoked on. As an avalanche consultant, I mostly work for big industry. Hydroelectric companies, forestry, mining. From an avalanche perspective, it's my responsibility to make sure everyone gets home safely at the end of the day. It's all about minimizing risk. You can study snow all you want, but if you want to understand it, you've got to be out there in the mountains. You develop this feeling for the snow. It's almost like a sixth sense. In a way, I guess I've been training for this job my whole life. Yeah, there's a huge responsibility that comes with this job. Number one, it's the lives of the workers. And number two, it's keeping them working. It's something that I take very seriously. I do my best to manage the hazard at an arm's length. It's really in everyone's best interest to keep the snow up on the mountain. But if the workers need to be in avalanche terrain and the hazard rating is high, I can't just hope that nothing's going to happen. You know, sometimes the only way to deal with a significant hazard is with force. Basically bringing the snow down in a controlled manner and eliminating the hazard altogether. It's funny because most people think my job is to prevent avalanches, not cause them. But in a lot of terrain I work in, the quickest and safest way to do that is with a helicopter and 25 kg bags of explosives.
First tee is wet. Timer started. Second tee is wet. Second tee is wet. And anywhere in here, Captain. It's okay. Shots away. Shots stuck. Oh yeah. Good corner. Oh yeah. This thing's gonna look at the chunks coming out of there. He's picking up that. Yeah, that's awesome. Airborne. That's unreal, the volume is still just plunging. Wow. That thing's thick and speed now. Be a bit of an air blast maybe with this one. First fuse lit, timer started. Second fuse is lit. Got a burn. Okay, 50 meters. 25. 10. Okay, right in here. Shots away, shots stuck. We want to make a big avalanche. This is the place to do it. Right in here. Yeah. Perfect. Got a burn. Okay, 30 meters. Shots away. Shots stuck. Okay. Yeah, we got detonation. We got a slab. Good slab. Hey. Yeah, we pulled a good size too there. There she goes. Oh yeah. Look at, yeah, I think we're going to hit the road potentially on that one. Going to pick up some mass here. Though. Look at it going up the side of that wall there. It's starting to hum now. That is wild. Go, 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 go. Look at that thing go.
There's a strange feeling of control and power you get from doing this work. You know, one simple action that I do, and all of a sudden you release this massive potential energy, and in a split second, you've changed the landscape.
I need my husband. So that's why I don't really like that saying. That's life in the mountains. He died doing what he loves to do. Just doesn't sit well for me.
I'll let you guys off the hook right now. He's alive. Just so you know. So you get a little look at Kevin's job there, and my buddy Kevin here, who you just saw, like I said, he had this dream his whole life to do a job like that, and it took him a long time to get there, and it was kind of a second career for him. And as you saw at the end there, that's a little tease for the film, because obviously we don't have 90 minutes for me to show you the full thing. But the way the film came about actually was on March 25th, 2009. Kevin was doing exactly what you saw in the movie there when the helicopter hit the mountainside. And he had just thrown a bomb out the door of the helicopter with a 2.5-minute fuse. The helicopter slid down the mountain, went off a cliff, slid down some more, by some miracle stopped in a little bench in the slope, and they were all alive. The 3 guys in the helicopter managed to get out, and all they could do was start running. They were in this big avalanche bowl on a 7,000-foot face. And they started running, and probably a minute or so into their run, they heard boom, they looked up, and the bomb had just gone off, and you saw what happens when the bomb goes off. It typically starts a pretty big avalanche, which came down directly on top of them, smashed them square on, and they all lived through that, if you can believe that. So when I heard that, I couldn't believe it, and I said, he was very, very shaken up by that experience, as you can imagine. And I said to him, I was kind of just starting to get into filmmaking at the time, and I said, if you're ever willing to tell this story publicly, I would love to make a film about it. And so we've done that, and the film just got completed literally 2 weeks ago. I showed it for the very first time. Thank you. We did a pre-screening on Friday night in Salt Lake City. I did an engagement very similar to this, but I had the stage the whole time, so I made them sit through the whole movie and then give me feedback afterwards. It was the first time that anyone had seen the film in its entirety as a group, and I'm very relieved to say that the feedback was quite strong. And to put that part in perspective, we have begun submitting the film to film festivals all over the world, and our hope is that, and I don't know if this will happen or not, but we are, fingers crossed, that we will premiere at Sundance in the US in January. So. Anyway, back to the inspiration part of this story. Kevin is alive. All of that was filmed since the accident. He is back on the job. And going through this experience with him was a very interesting one for me, because we often present inspiration as this smooth road to success where all the things kind of line up in a row for you. And the reality of it is that it's not always like that. Often it can be a bumpy road. There can be some major hiccups along the way. And I think one of the things that sort of, I guess we draw inspiration from is how people deal with adversity. And when Kevin, I mean, there was a time in the aftermath of that accident where he was ready to walk away and give up this dream that he had and give up all these types of things. And then, over time, as we talked about it a lot, and honestly, the film, actually making the film became a form of therapy for him as well, to really get these issues and these fears and all these things out in the open in a way that you can start to really rationalize the challenges in our lives. And it was very interesting because he got to the point where not only did he get back to where he was before, but he pushed beyond it. And one of the things that I really took away from that experience and working with him on this is that we're only here once. Maybe you believe that we come around 4 or 5 times, whatever, but I think we're only here once, and you better make it a good one. So, with that, I'll go back to Chris Anderson. Thank you very much.
But I really do want to thank you all for taking this Monday night. Thank you so much for being here.